Okay, so this quest is about making a dice simulator specifically for a full set of D&D dice. D&D dice, it's interesting. Do I have a, yeah, I do have a thing right here. Dungeons and Dragons, this is what dice are. This is a whole thing, but specifically, thank you for the ad, we are looking for a D4, a D6, a D8, a D10, which is interesting, a D12, a D20, and a second D10. Yay, so that's effectively two D10s, a D4, D6, D8, D12, and a D20. These are the dice. This is kind of what they look like. And that is a full set of D&D dice. There are 7 of them. If you want to know more, obviously there's more. If you want to see some in person, feel free to reach out. And I've got some somewhere in the classroom. I'm sure you can play with them. You can buy a pound of dice, apparently, which is not something you need to do for the activity. But now that we know what dice we need, we also have a couple of, what does it say? Sometimes you just need a random number. Okay, and you forgot all your analog dice at home. Haha, hilarious. So use a microbit or Arduino to make a full set of dice. And I have a YouTube video here about how to make a single dice with an Arduino, and I have a project page here about how to make a single dice for microbit. So these are both starting places to do it. Also, you get a bonus point if you do it with an Arduino. Basically, if you do it a second time, I would really highly encourage you to do this with the microbit first. And then if you have enjoyed it, you know what? Round 2. Round 2. And side quest. Do it with an Arduino for a second quest. All right, sweet. And then that's going to be a little bit more clear. Anyway, so you're going to submit your code. So again, where am I at? So you're going to want to start as a microbit, and this video will show you how to do it for a microbit. When you want to do it for a second quest with the Arduino, come talk to me again, and we will make another video, or we will help you individually. So just to continue reading this, you need to show the code. Ideally, you submit it as plain text in your build journal. I should link to the build journal here as well for all of those things, maybe when I get around to it. You're going to want video proof. Basically, you need to show me the microbit itself, the physical microbit, this guy, outside of the computer doing the thing. And the way you're going to do that is you're going to roll 3 numbers for each type of dice. So you're going to have something on here that allows you to select the type of dice, one of those 7 types, and then another thing over here that lets you roll it. Maybe you shake it, maybe you tilt it, I don't know, lots of options. You're going to want to do that as a linked video to your build journal. Yeah. In your build journal, you're going to need a slide presentation, okay, show progress pics of the entire process. Again, I think I've got a really good template for the build journal. And then, yeah, record yourself presenting the slides. I'm not requiring that right now. Okay. And then a side quest down here, or around 2, I suppose you could use your dice to run a Dungeons and Dragons style adventure. If you do that, you need to submit a video recording of the adventure. So like record yourselves doing the thing using your dice. I think Miss Daniels, or Miss Daniel, currently has a kind of like after school D&D club. Anyway, now that we've talked about that, let's talk about how to do it. So first we're going to go to make code. Make code, microbit, right here. This is make code microbit. You don't need to sign in, you don't need to log on, you don't need to do anything. It saves it locally on the computer as like not as a cookie, but in a cookie kind of thing. So these are all my projects. No, they're not. Some of these are my projects. Some of these are template projects, which is cool. Where's my projects? I don't know. Normally they'd be here. But anyway, we're going to start a new project. Give it a good name, like Dice or something like that. And then in here, what we want to do is effectively be able to pick a random number. So we're going to start there. And to do a random number, that feels like math. Pick random. There it is. Boom. We also want to do some basic stuff like show a number. Oh, perfect, show a number. And then if we do some input stuff like press the A button, when we press the A button, we're going to pick a random number between 0 and 10. That's not really one of our options. Let's do 0 and 4. That's one of our options. And then that's a little bit like rolling the dice between 0 and 4. Boom, we got a 2. We got a 2. We got a 0. Oh, you know what? Hold on. Dice go from 1. That's better. So 1, that's good. 4, great. 2, fantastic. Boy, if it were only that easy. But the problem here is that this is only one dice. And the requirement says that we need to have 7 different dice that we can pick from. And so to make 7 different dice to be able to pick from them, we need to use, I don't know, like a variable or a list or something. But just for funsies, I'm going to grab, can I make a note here? Add a comment. 4, a 6, an 8, a 10, a 10. This is going to be ones, and this is going to be 10s, and this is going to be a 12, and then a 20, and that should be 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So those are all the dice I need, right? And I could make a variable in here. Make a variable. I could probably make a array as well, because kind of what I'm going to have really is a list of dice values. See all that beautiful little dice values? That's kind of what I want. And really, these are pretty straightforward. So instead of just a single variable, I'm going to actually get a list. I'm going to make a list. Create a list right here. In my onStart, I'm going to make a list. I'm going to get rid of that forever thing. And I'm going to make this list. I'm going to call this dice. Yeah. And then it's going to be an array. And I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm going to just put the max number in here. That's a 4. That's going to be a 6. That's going to be an 8. This is going to be a 10. That's going to be weird. This is going to be another 10. I'm going to make that 100. That'll work. That's 12. And that's a 20. Okay. This is going to be tricky. Let me mark this here. This is tricky. Okay, so what I want to do now is, now that I have an array, let's say when I push my B button, right? Let's go for it. Where's my input? Up here. My input, I'm going to grab my A. See how it's grayed out here? But the drop down lets you check the B, and now I can click A and I can click B. So when I click B, what I want to do is I want to change, I don't want to change the value of this, but I want to be able to like count, right? So I need a new variable here, I guess. I'm going to get a new variable. I'm going to get, wait, dice? Can I just get all of dice? No, because in my variables here, if I grab dice, that's going to be the whole set. And I just want one portion of it. And so I'm going to make a new variable, and I'm going to be calling this one, what am I going to call this? I'm going to call this index. Perfect. So I'm going to change, oh, well, first I'm going to onStart set index to 0, but then I guess I'm going to change index by 1, okay? And then over here, I can change, or I can get my value in my array. I can grab a get value at, boom, right here, okay? And then I'm going to get the value at index, so variable index. So let me see if I can explain what's happening here. So when can I zoom out just a second? There we go. There we go. That's better. So I have made effectively a list right here. And this list, we start counting, right, from like this position. And we always start counting at 0. That doesn't really matter though. But this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's the position or the index of those numbers. Now the values of those numbers are obviously 4, 6, 8, 10, 100, 12, and 20, which is fine. Oh, you know what? That's okay. We said it was going to be tricky down here. And every time I see that second 10, I'm like, oh, that's going to be tricky. because it's going to be tricky because we got to do some stuff. But that's okay. So what we're going to do here is over here, we are going to change the index by 1, right? Now this is going to work great because it's going to start at 0, and we're going to go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we're going to go 7. And that's going to be a problem because once this is 7, we actually don't want it to go to 7. We want it to loop back to 0. So we need to have some little logic in here. And we can add a little bit here, right? And we can have some little logic in here. If it is, yeah, let's grab that one. Boom. We can change this to greater than or equal to 7. And if this is index, variable index. So now if index is greater than or equal to 7, what we want to do is we want to set index variable, set index to 0. So now we can loop back around, which is just fantastic. I'm super pumped about that. And just so that we can see how that works, I'm going to show that happening by basically showing right here the index. So there's my index. So now when I click the B button, I got 1, and then I should go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's 0, but that's good. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. And 7 is always 0. So this is definitely working. We don't actually need to show that though, which is fine. But I kind of do want to show it a little bit. I kind of want to show it. So I'm going to put it back there. Because we need to be able to select a die, right? We need to be able to know which die we are selecting. And this lets us do that. I mean, it really does. We're just able to select the die that we want, and we know that the first die is going to be a 6. That's fine, right? And if you have a little cheat sheet or something, like a little sticky note over here that says, hey, die number 2 is a 6-sided die. Die number 3 is a 4-sided die. Whatever, like that's fine. Could you take this a step further and actually show the value here instead of that? You totally could. And in fact, let's go ahead and do that. Let's go back to our arrays, and let's go ahead and get, where's that? Get read, get value at, index, and then right in here, and instead of list, this is going to be dice. And so now when I go for this, it's going to show me, okay, that's the 6-sided die, that's the 8-sided die, that's the 10-sided die. Yeah, this is a 100-sided die. It's not actually a 100-sided die, but that's okay. This is the 12-sided die, this is the 20-sided die, and this is a 4-sided die. So it wasn't even that hard, really, because we're getting the value at that index, which totally makes sense. And now when we run this, what we're going to do is we're going to pick a random number between 1 and the value at that index for the dice list, right? So again, a random number between 1 and 4, a random number between 1 and 6, a random number between 1 and 8, a random number between 1 and 10. This is where we have an issue. A random number between 1 and 100, which could totally work if we just wanted like that, but we don't want that. What we want are 2 10s, and we want 1 10 to be the 1's place and 1 10 to be the 10's place. So that's what we're going to be a little tricky here, just a little tricky. And then there's a 12, which again, it's going to work just fine, and a 20, which is going to work just fine. Let's see this work. Let's go ahead. That's a 6, so I expect to see a random number between 1 and 6, between 1 and 6, between 1 and 6, 1 and 6, between 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 1 and 6. They're just happening, right? This is super cool. Now, it's not very exciting, right? That's just showing me a random number. I can make this a little bit more exciting by showing an icon, like a cool, like, random icon, like this, and then do another one of those to here, and then, boop, and then, boop. And then we'll just move this down and out of the way. So now when I press the A button, check it out. A button. I roll a cool die, and then I get a number, right? And I can select an 8-sided dice, roll the dice, and I get a number. See, this is so much more fun. I'm super pumped about this. It feels like I'm rolling the dice. What's it gonna be? It's gonna be a 4. You know, it builds in that anticipation. I'm super excited about it. What's it gonna be? I don't know. Oh, it's an 8. Great job. Yeah, great job. Just fantastic job. You know? Woo. And then I can even come down here and I can just make this a little bit boom like that. So as soon as you roll, or as soon as you change it, it's going to go to 6, and it's going to clear itself first, and then it's going to go 8, clear itself, and then come to 10, instead of trying to push the 8 off, right? That'll be nice. That'll be really nice. So now the next and last thing that we really need to worry about, well, second to last thing that we need to worry about is that pesky 10s, right? Because right now, let's go ahead over here and get my hundreds really quick. That's a 6, that's an 8. Here's my 10s. 10s will work just fine. But up next is my hundreds, 0, 0. And if I roll a number here, I'm going to get wow. I'm a 1, 0, 0. I picked 100 apparently. And 9, and that's just a 9. And then this one is a 8, 81, which I don't actually want an 81. What I want here is to have a number between, again, 0 and 9. Well, between 1 and 10. Let's do that because that'll be easier. But for this specific one, I want to multiply that one number by 10. That's what I want to do, right? Just want to have it show me just 10 or just 20 or just 30, right? So I only want the 10s to work. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to have a little if. I'm going to make a little logic in here, and I'm going to have a little if. Whoop. And I'm going to put it before there, all right? And then, oh, you know what? I'm going to do an else, and then boom. So if something is true, then I'm going to do a special thing. And otherwise, I'm going to do this thing. And this thing works for everything, except for this one little edge case that is if the index is equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. If the index is 4, then I want to do a special thing. So I'm going to go find my logic, find my equals, put in 4 here, because that's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And then I mean my index number there, which is in variables, index. So if index is 4, if I'm rolling a 100-sided die, what I want to do is actually pick a dice. So let's duplicate this, boom, pick a random number between 1 and, not that, but 10. 10, and I actually want to do a little bit more math there. I want to multiply that, this one right here, boop. I want to pick a random number and then multiply it by 10. That's what I want to do, just that. And now when I go to my 100 spot, 8, 10, here's my 100. Now I'm going to roll it, and I'm going to get just a whole number, a 40. 40. Nice, right? Yeah, roll it again. Go roll it again, go roll it again, go roll it again. I got a 10. Woohoo! Roll it again, roll it again. I got a 60. Woohoo! Roll it again. I got a 50. And so this, my friends, this is what we need to do. And let me go ahead and just put that there and put this over here, and then I guess zoom out just a tiny second again. It's a little harder to read now, isn't it? But I want it all on the screen, okay? First, what we've done here is we've got an on start where we're effectively just setting variables together. Right, let me zoom in here. I can move this around, all right? We've got our on start. We're setting up an array. It's like a list, okay? And the list is going to be the values of the dice, yeah? And then the index is the position in the list, right? And remember, we start at 0. We start counting at 0 when we talk about positions in the list. Okay, so we set that up, and we've got 7 of them for our 7 dice. And then on the A button, what we're going to do is when the A button is pressed, that's effectively rolling the dice. So we've got a little cute little animation right here, cool animation, making us feel like we're rolling dice. And then we're doing this little if statement because we have a special case. If we have a special case where the index is equal to 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, when we're rolling our second 10 dice, because we want the 10's value instead of the 1's value, we are going to get this number right there. Super cool, right? And then that is, if it's a 10, if it's this specific 10, we're going to pick a random number between 1 and 10, and we're going to multiply it by 10. That's what we're going to do. We actually want to pick a random number between 0 and 9, because then we can have 0 and 1. Yeah, because we can have ones place. That's what we want. We want to have a ones place, you know. And we can end up from 0 to 99. So that's the thing we need to fix. Thanks for watching to the end of the video. And then otherwise, unless it's that one special case, we want to just pick a random number between 1 and the value at the index. So the dice get value at the index. Okay? And then our B button right here, we're going to just clear the screen. We're going to change the index by 1, just count up, right? And if the index is greater than or equal to 7, then we are going to reset the index to 0. And we're going to show that on the screen of our microbit so that we know what we're going to do. And then once that's all done, obviously you're going to need to take some screenshots of your code. You're going to need to put your screenshots of your code into your slideshow presentation, into your build journal. But you're also going to need to connect a device, right? And this is my little microbit. And you're going to need to grab a little USB cable. Let's see if I've got one close by. That's an extra mouse. Bummer. I'm going to pause this and find a USB cable. So I'm unpausing it. Hopefully it's still working. I found a USB cable. It's a short little USB cable. If you don't know where they're at, go ahead and ask Mr. Lowe. He's got some probably behind his desk over there. This is going to plug in. That's the USB port right there. It's going to plug in, just like this. You know, like a cat. If it fits, it sits. Boom. Yeah. And then I'm going to take this whole thing. I'm going to plug it in to my USB. Now, a lot of your computers have USBs right there on the edge. So go ahead and plug it in. When you plug it in, you will notice that a little light turns on the back. And depending on what microbit you grab, other things might also happen, because who knows who used this before you? Who knows what kind of weird, fun, awesome code is installed on this? I don't know. But that doesn't matter because we don't need to know. Now, what we do need to do is connect a device. So we're going to connect device. We're going to make sure it's connected, plugged in and stuff. And then we're going to just select the one that's here. There's only going to be one on the list, and we're going to select it. And now we're done. And now that icon has changed to a little, we're going to call it the little icon. So now we can download it, and when we click download, it immediately saves it onto here. And so now we can actually push these buttons because it's plugged in. That's a 6. That's an 8. That's my 10. If I push this button, I'm going to get a random number between 1 and 10. Oh, I got a 10. Yeah, that's a really good roll. Let's do it again, because I need to do this 3 times for each dice. Looks like I got a 3. Looks like I got a 1. All of those are good values. That's my 100. I don't want to roll 100. I want to roll a d20. That's a 12. Here's my 20. I'm going to roll at. Ready? Click. Woo! I got a 12, which is not it's a decent enough score. Oh, 3. That's bad. Oh, 18. 18. That's pretty good. It's pretty good. So that, my friends, is what you need to do for this particular quest. You have a full week to do it. I expect yours to look better, honestly, than this. Have fun.